This attacking system allows you to set up tons of different attacks. You can do Bolos, matrixes, inverted omoplata attacks, Meregali sweeps, and more. It's maybe one of the most versatile attacking systems in Jiu-Jitsu. So first I'm gonna go through the basic controls of setting this up, then show tons of different ways you can attack with it, as well as share tons of sparring and competition footage to help support the technique.
So we're gonna start by learning to set this up from closed guard because it's very easy for everyone to understand, and then later on we'll talk about setting it up from more open guard positions. So if I was in closed guard, I could just grab both sleeves. If I feel my opponent is about to stand and open the guard, you can always get access to both sleeves like this. So from here, I'm just gonna unlock my legs and drop down. Most people, when you unlock your legs here, will put one leg forward. You can't control which one they put forward, but they will put one. If they don't and they stand in more of a square stance, then it becomes easy to go back to chasing closed guard because their elbow and knee isn't connected. You can go for an ankle sweep, or it's very easy to shoot for triangle chokes and things like that. So we're going to assume that our opponent starts first by locking his elbow and knee together here, like this. So now let's look at the details of setting and locking in a good deep lasso. I'm going to get on my side a little bit so that I can actually go through. It can be a little bit difficult to go through if you're flat. Once I go through, I'm gonna shoot my leg in and focus on getting my foot behind his upper back here. The most important detail is how we set our fist on our thigh. So his main escape from the lasso is gonna be to loop his hand out. And if he gets his hand out, he can walk all the way up and break my grip. But you can see to actually be able to do that, he needs to be able to get my hand back here. So the main mechanism to lock this in is to get our fist on top of our thigh. So actually, once I set the deep lasso position, I like to take a little bit of slack back out of the sleeve so that I can lock my fist on my thigh. From here, if he tries to loop his hand, he can't do it at all. And even if he was to posture up and deadlift all the way in the air, it will stay locked in. I could even do this with 2 fingers. It's such a good locked position. So no matter how strong or athletic or crazy the guy is, if you set this right, they're not gonna just be able to explode out of it.
So the first attack systems we're gonna be looking at is based off when we deep lasso on the same side of the leg that our opponent is leading with. This gives a lot of different attack options, but first we're gonna focus on the power of what I refer to as tilt sweeps, which is basically where we use our deep lasso like a crowbar to wedge our opponent to one side and surprise and off balance them, making an easy sweep.
So now I set here, I get my fist on the thigh, and what I'm gonna do is while I'm still on this side tilt, I'm gonna look to catch the knee. For this technique to work, I need his weight to be a little bit more on this foot. So what happens is I go from here and I have both sleeves and I'm gonna look to catch this, and right when I catch this, I'm gonna actually release this sleeve because it allows me to extend my body further away and tilt and knock him all the way over. This is really shocking when you hit it at the right time. From here, usually I'll come up and try to catch this foot so that he can't stand back up. And now I can just release the sleeve very easily. I can just release, come up, and start passing from here. So another variation of this is I go through with the deep lasso, but now instead of trying to clip behind the knee, creating that buckle that we use to knock him over, I'm actually gonna leave the foot higher up in the armpit. And this is a slightly different sweep. It looks very similar, but it gives us the option for omoplatas and back takes later. So now what we're gonna do is when we go for this sweep, instead of dropping to the knee, I'm gonna release this, grab his ankle, and I actually lift off his hip with my right foot. So I have the sleeve, I go here, and all at the same time, I lift and tilt out to the left side like this. So one more time from another angle, I'm here, and right when I'm ready to go, I release and grab the ankle, I lift with the foot on the hip, and I tilt and open my shin like a crowbar into his elbow, and that creates a strong tilt.
One of the best combinations with the tilt sweep is when your opponent resists leaning to the other side, you can't crowbar them open. But this actually makes it really easy to do this flashy inversion that can lead into surprising omoplata attacks, or if they posture, even set up really cool matrix and back take attempts.
When I go for this, often he'll really lean his weight far this way to prevent me from hitting this sweep, exactly like this. And when this happens, he can drop to the knee. Sometimes they can stay up as long as his weight is on this side. What I'm gonna do is I keep the pressure on that, and now I shift this shin to the inside of the shin. I'm gonna release the ankle and go under, like this. From here, there's enough momentum because of his force leaning this way to invert all the way through, and I can go for an omoplata. Depending on how you hit it, sometimes you can break their posture and immediately come up for the attack. But sometimes when you come through here, he tries to posture out, and I'll actually use this to throw into a matrix attack here, pull him down, and take the back. As I go through, I like to keep this grip because I'm going to feed it for the matrix later. I come through, he tries to posture out, I switch my arm, throw the leg over, I bring my shin behind the knee and keep the heel tight, and I buckle his knee with my shin, pull him in, and take the back.
Also guys, a quick reminder, if you're enjoying this content, be sure to leave a comment to help support the channel, and also to let me know if you have any good ideas to help make the content better. So now we're going to be looking at how we can use the deep lasso on the side furthest away from the lead leg. From here, there's a few different things we can do, but we're first going to focus on how we can use this to off balance towards the De La Riva side, setting up both bolo back take options and also inverted omoplata attacks.
So there could be multiple reasons I do this. Maybe you have a preference or you just want to mix up your attacks to keep them confused. But either way, he opens the guard. Now I'm going to start deep lassoing on the other side. Same idea here. I want to lock my fist on my thigh so that he can't get his hand out. Very difficult from here. From here, I can move his base around and balance by using this lasso. Like I can kind of put the foot on the hip and extend sometimes, or if I take the foot off and kind of kick my shin up, I can use it to off balance him forward and move around. So the first attack we're going to do here is a knockover, De La Riva knockover, which combines with a bolo and an omoplata attack. So from here, I like to bring his weight forward just a little bit, and he'll usually step his weight back a bit, and I'm going to time that to hug his leg with my left arm and drive him this way. When I go here, he's going to post on the floor, and as long as I hug deep enough, it's really easy to now lift this foot, invert through, come out, and hit an omoplata. My friend Andres Bernovsky used to use this in competition all the time. I should also mention that my Uki Tomic has done this in competition as well. He was pretty upset I didn't mention him, so we'll put the video in there as well. Okay. Of course, you can also use this to set up a bolo. Just when I knock him over, I actually finish through on the bolo. From here, what I'm going to do, I switch to the hip. I like to lace my leg all the way across, and I rotate through. There's a lot of different finish variations, but if she stays up like this, I'm going to switch my hand to the far side ribs and grab the far leg. I pull through, and I want to pull this leg on top of my shin. From here, I can kick through, come up, and take the back. And maybe the most crazy sounding move, which is the inversion bolo omoplata matrix attack, would basically be where we knock them over with the same move. Here we invert through for the omoplata, and as I get here, she starts to stand up, and I'm going to use that to throw the matrix. From here, I just grab the hip, and like I mentioned before, sometimes I bring this shin in, sometimes I spin around, but if I feel like it's hard to spin around, I learned this from Espen, I use the inside shin to buckle their knee. You never want to push with this leg because it can hurt your knee, but if I use the bottom leg here and I have the hip, when I use the shin and keep the heel, I can buckle her knee inward, and it's very easy on my other knee. Now I can come around here and finish taking it back. Another easy attack I should mention here is when I try to tilt my partner forward like this, sometimes they actually step far enough forward that I can just go for an ankle sweep. And even though it's not as flashy as the other techniques, using these threats make other attacks easy. So if I bring my opponent forward and I catch the ankle, I can just knock him back and come up here. And of course, he can get single leg X, but as long as you're comfortable with passing, you can get through these positions. It's important to have these multiple threats because if you have the threat of this, it'll make them step back, which sets up the other attack.
And now one of my absolute favorite attacks, which is the Meregali sweep. And this is where we use the deep lasso on the far side, but suddenly thread it in between their legs, using it to create a really surprising and sudden, powerful off-balance overhead that can be used to set up really easy sweeps, back takes, and more.
So here we get the deep lasso, now we can tilt forward, we try to go backwards, and as I try to go backwards, he steps his weight back this way a little bit again, right, to resist the backward sweep. So now I'm gonna take this right foot and I'm gonna switch it underneath and go right under his tailbone or even under his far thigh a little bit. From here, I'm still on my side, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my free foot and put it on the floor, and as I center up, I'm gonna get a lot of momentum to kick, and I'm gonna get this really nice overhead sweep here, like this. Another cool combination that can happen with this is as I go for the sweep, usually I try to not let him post this hand, but every now and then when you hit it, if he gets this across here, I'll switch my left foot to a shin on shin, and now when I clear this back, it gives me a clear opening to come straight up and attack the back. It's worth mentioning that the Meregali sweep variation varies quite a bit when you don't have the second sleeve, because he can now post this arm across. So here we can do the same kind of off balance setups. I get the foot underneath, but now when I go for the sweep, I'm gonna release and come up and grab the same side lapel. From here, again, I put the left foot on the floor and I really pull hard and drive. If you pull hard enough and you surprise them enough, they usually won't be able to post this hand and you can still get the nice flip over sweep. But a lot of times when you go for this, they get that arm across. Of course, we can scoot out and go shin on shin, clear the leg back and go for the same back take. Sometimes when you do this sweep, you go through, you get the lapel, and sometimes what happens is as I bump, they actually drop to their knees to defend and keep their base. So I'm gonna use this left foot to get a butterfly hook like this, and I scoot in really close. And now as I rock back, they can't post with this, and I get a really nice overhead butterfly sweep to the right here like this. So another major component of this is how whenever your opponent defends by trying to change a leg lead, you can set up the opposite side attack. So for example, if I start to look for this one, I have the tilt sweep, but often people start to get used to that. So as I start to look for it, they actually step their leg back and change the other leg forward because they're trying to dodge the tilt sweep. But this makes it easy to transition back to the far side because now since the leg alternated, we're actually on the other side. And now we can continue with the same sweep off balancing overhead here.
Two additional points I wanted to make that I didn't get to cover in the video is you can set this position up without using the double sleeve as well. You can start with a single sleeve and build it from there. It's just a bit different in the setup, and I'll probably cover that in future videos, but I didn't want the video to get too long. In addition, there's a lot more attack systems when your opponent is on both knees or one knee up, but again, I didn't go too in depth on those. Marcos Tinoco has a great YouTube channel where he talks about the deep lasso a lot as well. I would check him out for some more content, as well as from competition footage, checking out Kevin Mahesha, Sebastian Serpa, and Marcos Tinoco are also great references to see some great lasso attack systems.